Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today, we're getting our hands dirty, diving deep into the world of a metal sawing machine operator. We've gotten a ton of questions from you all about what it takes to break into this career, and lucky for you guys, we've got a mountain of resources to help us get to the bottom of it.
So we're going way beyond just like reading a basic job description here.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking full-on deep dive. We've got in-depth career guides, interview tips from people who've been there, done that, even some seriously cool insights into how AI is changing the whole job search game. You ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, you're thinking about becoming a metal sawing machine operator. Well, the career guide, Metal Sawing Machine Operator, cuts right to the chase. You'll be using some seriously heavy-duty saws to cut and shape metal. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? You just, cut the metal where you need to.
Well, not so fast.
Do.
This guide makes it clear that precision is key here. We're talking cutting pieces of metal down to a fraction of a millimeter. That's some seriously detailed work. Yeah, that's way more like, I don't know, performing surgery on metal than just like hacking away at it, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
This isn't just about brute strength. It's about finesse and really understanding how different metals behave under pressure. And I mean that literally.
Right. I love that the guide also talks about using other tools too. Like they mentioned tin snips and shears. It's not just the big saws. There's a whole craft to it.
Totally. And that's where the guy calls core knowledge comes in. It's about knowing your metals inside and out. Which metals react better to different kinds of cutting, what tools to use for which purpose. That's what separates the pros from the, well, not pros.
Yeah, you got to know your stuff. So let's talk about the day-to-day reality of this job. Our guide doesn't sugarcoat it. The work environment can be pretty demanding, right? We're talking noise, dust, maybe not the best place for a relaxing lunch break.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. But one thing that surprised me when I was reading through this guide was the emphasis on teamwork. Remember that typical interactions section? They're constantly collaborating with engineers, designers, even sometimes working directly with clients.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just you and a giant hunk of metal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's about being part of a bigger process, which I think is pretty cool.
definitely. And speaking of bigger picture stuff, the guide talks about how technology is changing the game here. Like automation is starting to become a bigger deal in the metalworking industry, right?
Huge deal. And it kind of makes you wonder, what's going to happen to all these skilled machine operators with all these high-tech robots moving in?
Yeah, that's a big question. It's not like these jobs are just going to disappear overnight, right?
Right. The guide seems to suggest that the key is going to be adaptability. Being open to learning new technologies, constantly updating your skills to work alongside these automated systems. It's like learning to be the robot whisperer or something.
I like that. Robot whisperer. That's going on my business card. But really, it speaks to this idea that to thrive in this field, you've got to be willing to evolve and embrace change. It's not just about mastering the machines of today, it's about being ready for whatever comes next. It's almost like the more things change, the more valuable those human skills become.
Yeah.
Being able to adapt, to solve problems on the fly, that's what sets you apart from a machine.
Definitely. In fact, the guide actually highlights those exact skills like problem solving and adaptability as being absolutely crucial for anyone who wants to not just survive,
Yep.
but actually thrive in this industry as it evolves.
It's not just about keeping up with the robots. It's about becoming the kind of metalworking master they can't replace. Okay, so let's say you're listening to this and you're thinking, metal sawing, robots, sign me up.
But
But let's get real for a second. How do you know if this is even the right fit for you? Every job has its pros and cons, right?
yeah, for sure.
And the guide we're looking at today, it does not hold back. It lays it all out there, the good, the bad, and the potentially dusty.
Well, let's start with the good, why don't we?
Okay, so good stuff first. High earning potential, always a plus, right?
Can't argue with that.
Then there's the job security. Everyone wants to feel like they've got a career they can count on. And get this, there's even room for some serious advancement in this field. Starting out as an operator doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. You can move up the ranks, take on more responsibility, maybe even end up designing those robots we were just talking about.
That's the dream. Designing the robots instead of.
Instead of getting your metal cutting skills schooled by them.
Exactly. But yeah, like you were saying, every job has its downsides too. And the guide definitely doesn't shy away from those either. It's physically demanding work, for one thing. And there's potential for repetitive tasks, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. Plus, you've got to be comfortable with constantly learning new things, staying updated on the latest technologies.
It's not a career for the technologically timid, that's for sure.
Definitely not. But, I think that's what makes this whole fit question so important. It's about really looking at your own strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, and honestly asking yourself, does this line up with who I am and what I want out of a job?
It's kind of like dating in a way. You wouldn't jump into a relationship without getting to know the person, right? Same thing with a career. You got to make sure you're a good match.
100%. It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills and interests align with the demands and rewards of the job.
Okay, so let's say you've weighed the pros and cons, done some soul searching, and you've decided, yeah, metal sawing is my jam. What's the next step? How do you actually go from like metal curious to metal employed?
That's the million-dollar question. And lucky for us, we've got some seriously insightful RoleCatcher excerpts that give us a behind-the-scenes look at the whole process.
And spoiler alert, AI is shaking things up big time.
Oh yeah, big time. Like, remember that Beat the Automated Recruiter excerpt?
Yeah.
It basically blew my mind. It's not even just about sending out a killer resume anymore. It's about understanding what those AI systems are looking for and tailoring your application accordingly.
It's like AI is this like digital gatekeeper standing between you and your dream metal sawing gig. And to get past it, you need to know the secret password or something.
That's a great analogy because it really is about cracking the code. Like, what makes these AI systems tick? What are they looking for? What makes an application stand out from the sea of resumes?
And that's where a tool like RoleCatcher comes in clutch.
For sure. This thing is like a cheat code for the modern job search.
Think of it like this. RoleCatcher is your trusty sidekick in the wild world of job hunting. It's got everything from AI-powered CV analysis so you know you're putting your best foot forward to interview practice, which is clutch for anyone who gets those pre-interview jitters.
Oh, tell me about it. I used to get so nervous before interviews. My hands would sweat, my voice would crack. It was a whole thing.
But having a tool like RoleCatcher to help you prepare, it just gives you that extra boost of confidence, like you've got this.
Totally. And it's not just about calming your nerves. It's about actually giving you the tools and strategies you need to crush it in the interview.
And the coolest part, RoleCatcher can even help you get noticed by employers who are actively looking for someone with your skills.
Right. So instead of just hoping your resume ends up in the right hands, you're actually getting your name and your skills in front of the people who matter.
It's like, forget playing hard to get, we're going straight to the top of the pile. But let's talk about those interviews for a second. Our trusty guide has a whole section on questions to expect. That is pure gold, especially if you're prone to pre-interview freakouts like my friend here.
Hey, some of us like to be prepared.
Exactly. And this section, it's all about preparation. They've got all the classic interview questions, but one that really caught my eye was, can you describe a time when you encountered a problem while operating a metal sawing machine and how you resolved it?
Ah, the classic, tell me about a time you failed question. It's not just about showing off your skills, it's about showing how you handle challenges, how you think on your feet.
It's like anyone can operate a metal sawing machine when everything's going smoothly. It's how you deal with those unexpected snags that really shows what you're made of.
Totally. And I think that speaks to a larger point about this whole field. It's not just about the technical skills, it's about having the right mindset.
You've got to be able to think critically, solve problems creatively, and stay calm under pressure.
Exactly. Because let's be real, when you're working with the giant, powerful machines, things don't always go according to plan.
You got to be ready for anything.
100%.
So let's say you've aced the interview, you've wowed them with your metal sawing knowledge and your can-do attitude. What's next?
Well, our trusty career guide has a whole section dedicated to mapping out your career path, and let me tell you, it's pretty impressive. We're talking about a clear progression from entry level all the way up to senior operator and beyond. And what I love about this section is that it really highlights the long-term potential of this career path. Like, this isn't just a job, it's a career with real growth opportunities.
You're not just stuck in one place, are you?
Exactly. So you start out as an entry-level metal sawing machine operator,
Yeah.
learning the ropes, getting your hands dirty.
You're like the Padawan learner mastering the ways of the Force, or the metal saw in this case.
Yeah. And as you gain experience and confidence, you move up to junior operator, taking on more responsibility, maybe even training some of those fresh-faced Padawans yourself.
Passing on your metal sawing wisdom to the next generation. I love it. And then it's on to experienced operator, where you're really starting to master your craft, handling more complex projects, maybe even leading a team.
You're becoming the Jedi Master of metal sawing.
Okay, I'm officially stealing that analogy.
Yeah.
But yeah, from Padawan learner to Jedi Master, this career path is all about growth, both in terms of skills and responsibility.
Totally. And let's not forget about the top of the metal sawing mountain, senior operator.
Mm.
At this level, you're not just operating the machines, you're basically running the show.
You're leading teams, managing projects, optimizing processes. You're like the CEO of metal sawing.
Talk about a career glow up.
Right. From cutting metal to calling the shots, that's a pretty inspiring trajectory. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's take a minute to recap, bring it all together.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we started out talking about what it actually takes to be a metal sawing machine operator, and it turns out it's way more than just like pressing a button and watching the sparks fly.
It's a skilled trade that requires precision, attention to detail, and a deep understanding of how different metals behave.
Right, and it's also a career that's constantly evolving with technology like automation changing the game every day.
Which means adaptability and a willingness to learn new skills are going to be key for anyone who wants to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, our trusty career guide doesn't shy away from the big questions. Remember that section on the potential impacts of automation?
Oh yeah, how could I forget? It kind of left me wondering, like, what's the future of this field going to look like?
Right. It's like, will robots eventually take over all the metal sawing jobs? Or will there always be a need for that human touch, that artisan's eye that no machine can replicate?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer.
It's something anyone considering this career path really needs to think about.
For sure. It's about weighing the potential risks and rewards and deciding, like, is this a field where I can see myself building a long-term successful career?
It's like, do you want to become a master of the machines or maybe focus on developing those uniquely human skills that no robot can replicate?
Right. It's about finding your niche, your edge, in a world where technology is constantly evolving.
It's about choosing your own adventure, but in the exciting world of metalworking.
Exactly.
And hey, if this deep dive has you fired up and ready to explore the world of metal sawing, don't forget about our trusty sidekick, RoleCatcher. It's your one-stop shop for navigating the sometimes scary, often confusing world of job hunting.
Seriously, this tool is a game changer.
Whether you're crafting the perfect resume, practicing your interview skills, or just trying to figure out how to get your name and your skills in front of the right people, RoleCatcher has got your back.
Consider it your secret weapon for career success.
And on that note, it's time for us to hang up our hard hats and wrap up this deep dive into the world of metal sawing machine operators.
It's been real, folks.
Remember, if you're looking for a career that's both hands-on and always evolving, metal sawing might just be the perfect fit for you. Until next time, keep those sparks flying.